Welcome to episode 184 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode's show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, and we have a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea. Hello, how are you? I am delayed by a day. Today is Monday, May 28th, which is a holiday here in the United States at Memorial Day. And I delayed by a day because I wanted a day of extra crafting this weekend. And so I got a few things done so that I can show you. So I'm excited to tell you all about that. It has been a nice week and weekend. It was a short week because I started on Tuesday after we got back from Chicago. And it was a little bit of a busy week, but then going into a holiday weekend. And in the US, Memorial Day weekend is usually sort of the kickstart to summer. It is summer weather here today. It is in the 90s. And it is pretty beautiful out, although a little too hot for me, so I'm staying indoors. But Wes and I have enjoyed this weekend. I went and spent some time with a friend on Saturday, and then yesterday I did some yoga, and then today we both exercised, and now we're kind of hanging out for the afternoon. I hope to get a bunch more crafting done. I have some pens and inks to test. I have some cookies to bake. And so that is kind of our weekend. It's been a nice one. I hope that you are doing well. Since it is the kickoff of summer this weekend, I have started with iced teas. I pulled my iced tea pitcher out and decided that I'm going to go through some tea stash and make some iced tea each week. This week I am combining the strawberry kiwi from Upton Teas that I drank last week, along with Church Mouse Yarn and Teas China Black. It is the Chinese version of Assam, so I combined each of those, probably about half and half, into a big pitcher. And then for my cup, I'm using my Minions cup, and I just added a little bit of sugar and lots of ice. So that is delicious. I like combining my fruit teas and my black or green teas because it makes the fruit teas go a little further, and some of the fruit teas can be expensive. And I also like to have a little caffeine in my fruit tea. If you prefer decaffeinated teas, then definitely make fruit teas for summer iced tea because they're delicious. So this one is good. It's got like a little bit of a black tea undertone and then that strawberry and kiwi. So that is what I'm drinking today. Let's get on to the knits. So the first thing that I finished this week is I finished my Albuquerque Sunset. This is a shawl by Casa Pinka. And it is meant to be knit in one main color and then one contrasting color. And for my contrasting color, I used a Knit Picks sock blanket gradient that I dyed, and I sort of called it Tequila Sunrise. It went from kind of a purpley pink through a pink into red, orange, and yellow. And last week when I talked to you, I had finished the first, technically I have two skeins of the gradient because it was a Knit Picks double sock blank to knit two socks, or to knit a pair of socks to have them both be the exact same. I only got through, originally I was going to go from the gradient from purple through to yellow and then from yellow back out to purple with the second skein. I decided not to do that because, as you can see, this is already my wingspan, and I just decided that I wanted to end it there. So I did, the shawl pattern calls for a slightly longer section here. I ran out of the yellow, so it calls for it to be a little longer, and then it calls for a simple lace section to finish the shawl in the contrasting color, which is great if you're using just two colors, but because of the gradient, I didn't really want to do lace in the gradient colorway, and so I just went back and I actually just repeated. There is a small segment at the beginning of my dark main color, and I just repeated that segment as many times as I could at the end, and I bound off, and I totally calculated right because I could not have done another section. So this used about 650 yards. Like I said, it is huge. I like it. It is one of those asymmetrical shawls that I can wear kind of as a scarf. I love the colors. This is just kind of a fun scarf for me. It's a little brighter than I usually go, but I really, really love it. And I love the interplay of the colors together, and so I am thinking about getting another skein of something dark. And going ahead and knitting a winter scarf for Roxy using the other half of the sock gradient because it's a merino nylon, so it'll run through the wash really well. And I'm thinking about just doing like a simple striped scarf for her, or I might actually do something like this pattern because this was kind of fun, and do something like this for her winter scarf. I probably won't make it this long and wide, so I would probably do like a standard scarf, but I could probably work in some of that pattern. So that was my thought. That is the project. So that one is done. Yarns out of stash that had been in there for a while. I dyed that gradient in 2014. So it's been almost 4 years in the stash, and I will use the other half of it probably for something for Roxy for winter. So I feel like I'm doing well on that. So that is one project done. And unfortunately, as those of you who are playing along with Stash Dash know, Stash Dash is a summer contest by the Knit Girls. That's Leslie and Laura. And Stash Dash, the purpose is to transform as much of your stash as you can. So either knit it into things, crochet it, weave it, turn fiber into handspun yarn, turn handspun yarn into things. Unfortunately, I finished this on Thursday, so I'm not going to count this towards Stash Dash because Stash Dash starts on Friday, the 25th, and runs through August 27th. You get some extra time this year. Usually we stop sooner, so maybe I will actually hit my 10,000 meters this year. We'll see. Anyway, so this one doesn't count. This one, however, does. The other thing that I said that I wanted to do this week is I wanted to knit Miles a hat. And I did. It looks so small, but I'm hoping it will stretch a whole bunch. And I knit, I used numbers from some of the Tin Can Knits patterns, but the pattern that I actually used is Violet Waffles. It comes in, it's basically just a broken rib hat. And I used the leftover yarn. This is Miss Babs Yowza in Shaken Not Stirred. It's what I knit his sweater out of. And then I used the last bits of the yarn to make this crazy obnoxious pom-pom that's like practically bigger than the hat is. But so that is one of Miles' winter hats. I usually do a couple different winter hats for the kids. If this is your first time tuning in, I have a 4-year-old niece, Roxy, and well, she'll be 5 in October, and my nephew will be 2 in October, and I always do, they live in Chicago, so I always do winter gear for them. And this is the first hat for the season. Usually I do a couple hats for each of them and a pair of mittens. So the first hat for Miles, done. And yes, I know it's May, but when I'm knitting half a dozen hats and mittens and socks and birthday sweaters, all for the latter half of the year, I usually try and start a little bit early. So, and this was kind of an instant gratification knit, and this one I finished last night, so this one counts for Stash Dash. So that is something like 174 yards used up in yarn that I had left over. So more yarn out of the stash. The next project that I started this week, and I'm just grabbing my, sorry for the noise, I forgot to grab my sock blockers. And I said I was going to start this week, and I did, although this, like Miles' hat, I started and ripped and started and ripped. It's just a sock. I don't know why. Anyway, I had this really cool sock set. It was a mini skein and then a full skein of Northbound Knitting yarn, and she was running a knit along that ran from last month through this month. And so, of course, I am casting on a project right at the end, so this will not count. However, it will count for Sock It to Summer, because that has not started yet as far as I'm aware, but I am not even a little bit, I think it starts June 1st, and I'm not a quarter of the way done, so my guess is this will count for that, and then it will also count towards my Stash Dash. This is Northbound Knitting, her sock yarn. The pink is Oleander, and the multicolored is Rumpus, and I don't know if you can tell, it's got black and pink and purple, and it's bright and crazy and not really me, and when I saw it, I really wanted the skein. So I am knitting a pair of socks for myself, and then my guess is I will probably try and knit a pair for Roxy as well, because pink and purple, who doesn't love it? And I've got a huge ball, plus the pink. I don't know if I'll have the contrasting pink left over for Roxy's or not. If I have enough, I'll probably try and do the heel. I know she would love it, so this is why I knit the sock 3 times this week. So the first thing that I did is I cast on, I decided, oh, if I just use the hot pink for the heels, then I should have enough hot pink to do Roxy's as well. I guess that's the oleander colorway. And so I didn't do a contrasting heel cuff, and I got through most of the way through the cuff and was like, oh, I want that pink on there. So I ripped it out and recast on with the pink cuff, and then I had said that I was picking a pattern. I was going to do the Knitting Expat, one of her sock patterns. And then I realized that with the variegated yarn, the sock pattern wasn't coming through. It was a lot of work for nothing coming through. So just because the yarn was too busy, it just wasn't showing up in the pattern. So I ripped that back to the cuff again, and then I just started to do a stockinette sock. So I'm just going to do a plain vanilla sock. It is 60 stitches on US zeros, and I got a new Zings DPN set. And so these are the size 0. They are 6-inch DPNs with pointy ends. They are not as pointy as signature needles, but I do like them. The other ones that I use of my size 0s are my Addie Flip Sticks, and I think I like these as much as the Addie Flip Sticks. So I got a set of the DPNs. Fair disclaimer, I got them for free because I've been doing some work for the company. So, and I'm not specifically, I didn't get them specifically to do a review on them, but I really like them. So I will report back on these. But so that is my Northbound Knitting sock. And Sock It to Summer is the brainchild, or is the contest usually hosted by Amanda. She is Wit on Ravelry, and she used to have a podcast called Not a Podcast, and she was the dyer behind Lammy Toes. And she took a break at the end of the year from dyeing and from the podcast, and she said at some point she is going to come back. So I hope she'll come back to do Sock It to Summer. If not, it will always be Sock It to Summer in my heart. So yeah. So that is what's currently on the needles. I need to start some other things. I did start my secret project, so that's being worked on, but I won't bring that and show it until, actually, I'll probably just bring pictures at the end after it has been gifted. The next project that I am going to start on is a review. I was sent for review. Appalachian Baby Design sent me 3 skeins, and I wanted to show you. It came beautifully packaged in this little gauzy drawstring pouch. But now I'm going to take them out so I can show you. They offered a couple different sets, and this is the one I chose. The yarn is Appalachian Baby Design, and they specialize in baby patterns and organic cotton. This is called US Organic Cotton Sport Weight with Earth Friendly Dye, and it is a sport weight, 194 yards, machine wash and gentle dry. And this colorway is called Blush. It's a little hard to see, but it comes along with a skein of natural and then a skein of silver. So those are the 3 colors. God, the monitor's just completely blowing them out. I don't know if you'll be able to see them as normal. Based on what I can see, it doesn't look good to me. But they are just real simple neutrals. There were a few different packages I could choose from. One 3-pack was kind of a woodland colorway. It was a couple tans and a natural, and then one was a natural, a tan, and a navy blue. But I picked these 3, and I didn't know what I was going to do with them, but then I found a little, a sweet sundress, and I have about enough to knit a sundress in Roxy size. So that is what I'm going to, that's what I'm going to do with these. So my plan is to start this week, and I don't know, it's 600 yards, or almost 600 yards, so I don't know that I'll have this done next week. I would like to get it done fairly quickly so that I can send it on up to her and she can wear it for summer. But my guess is this will probably be a 2-week project, and then the only other thing I need is I'm going to go get a ribbon. It's for a really cute, it's like a little chevron dress, and it's a little sundress, and you knit it mostly in the round, and then the front and the back are separated, and then it's got a little bow that will run around, and you can tie the bow there. Anyway, so it should be really sweet for her, and so that is Appalachian Baby. And I should thank them for sending this to me. I will have a full review of this when I finish the project. For now, it is a super soft, really nice organic cotton, so I'm looking forward to it. And might at some point buy some to do a top for me, but I'll see how this project goes. The second project, and this is sort of okay, so that's the knitting. The other project that I am going to work on probably this afternoon or sometime this week came from a company called Solid Oak. And they are offering some products for review right now. They are a jewelry company, and they offered a few bracelets. And so this one is called the Shambhala bracelet, and it's in a blue colorway. And as you can see, it's a bracelet with a nylon cord and a bunch of different beads. And when you open the kit, it just comes in this little box. And this was sent to me for free to try and review. And I will bring the finished bracelet back next week, but I wanted to show you what it was first. And then in the kit, it looks super simple. You get instructions, you get the nylon cord, and you get a bag of different colored beads. So part of the reason that I said yes to this, even though it isn't my normal thing, is because it looked like a quick project that would be fun. The other reason is that when we traveled on our national parks vacation a few years ago, and we were gone for a couple weeks, I bought some beautiful beads while we were gone, and I'm not exactly sure what kind of, I mean, they're some kind of agate or some kind of gemstone, but not like precious gemstone. And I bought a string of beads so that I could make some kind of a bracelet. And so I thought this would be a good kind of introduction to some of the knots and how to kind of create little bracelets so that I could make my own. So because I have quite a few, I was thinking I might do something more like a cuff. But I wanted to try this. So this again is from Solid Oak. Both of these will be reviews on my blog, and I usually don't do them together, but I wanted to show you the kits and how they came before I dug into them and opened them up and used them. So next I will show you what they look like finished. So this one will probably be next week, and then the Appalachian Baby will be the following week. So those are my review projects. So let's go into spinning, and I'm so excited because I actually have spinning for you. First, a brief note. I spoke about it briefly last week. I have started a Tour de Fleece team for 2018. So Tour de Fleece is the spinning event that runs concurrently with the Tour de France. This year the Tour de France runs a little bit later than normal. It starts on Saturday, July 7th, and it concludes on, I believe, Sunday, July 29th. Usually it starts a little closer. It runs over July 4th weekend normally. So it is a little bit later this year, but I am getting excited and I want to train. As usual, the Corner of Knit and Tea will have a team. The rules are simple. Spin. That's pretty much it. Whatever wheel you have, whatever spindle you have, whatever fiber you have, spin. Spin as much or as little as you like. There is only one other rule, which is there will be prizes, and to win a prize you have to be a member of the group on Ravelry. So that is like my only other rule. You have to click join the group. Join the group. You can participate as much or as little as you want. Normally what I do is we have a chatter thread that runs all the way through. You can post daily pictures there if you wish. You can cheer your friends on if you wish. Generally, I pull some prize winners using the random number generator from the chat thread. So participation gets you more entries, but you don't have to participate there if you don't want to. You can just spin on your own. We do have a hashtag, which is Team CKT 2018. And finally, I will put a final thread for once the tour ends, or right around the time the tour ends, I will post a thread for you to post your finished spins. Each person who participates on the team there will get one post, and then I will random number generator draw for a couple more prizes. So I have not pulled prizes yet. Typically in the past, I have given away bags of fiber from my stash. That includes Hello Yarn, Southern Cross Fiber, and whatever else I find rattling around in there. I give away the good stuff. So if you want to participate in a team, like I said, we have very few rules. Spin, be a member of the group to win prizes. You can join as many teams as you wish as far as I'm concerned. Other teams may have rules about double dipping. I do not. You will have to follow other teams' rules in their threads, but as far as my thread goes, if you spin, for instance, if you spin a bump of Hello Yarn and you post it in the Hello Yarn thread, you can also post it in my thread. I don't care. You don't have to designate which spin for which team. So, come join us. I have not done anything about Revatars yet, but I have joined the official TDF group, registered the team, and I have a thread going in my group. So we have basically all of June and a few days of July, so we have maybe like 6 weeks. I don't really necessarily suggest that you have to do any training. It really just depends on what you want to do. For me, I have not been spinning much at all in the last couple months, so I would really like to get back to spinning, and I usually spend the tour doing nothing but spinning. I usually try not to do too much knitting. I really sit home and spin. And I don't know if I'll do that this year. I also have a review product for spinning. Kramer Yarns sent me a huge box of all these different kinds of fiber, and I will show you that as it gets a little closer, but that is going to be one of my Tour de Fleece spins. So that is spinning news adjacent to spinning. So let's talk about spinning. I think back in April, I pulled out 2 braids of fiber optic. They were gradients called Smoke on the Water, and they went from like a very cool aquamarine all the way through a very dark, like smoky gray black. And I spun both skeins. I spun them end to end and then plied so that I would get a gradient spin. And I then plied and I finished plying late last night. And I now have a big honkin' skein of gradient yarn. As you can see, it starts in the aquamarine and then goes through multiple layers of teal into a purpley indigo blue into black. Now, you won't get the full gradient effect here on the camera because it's not showing all the shades in between. One skein was a little different than the other. Some of the sections were shorter, so I got a lot of overlapping, which was really nice because it makes the gradient even more subtle. I have not washed and finished the skein, so I do not know yet exactly how much yardage. I'm guessing between 750 yards and 800 yards, so a pretty good spin. I'll have to see how much it fluffs up. I think it is mostly about sport weight. It would make a gorgeous, gorgeous shawl, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to put this one up in the shop. So if this is something that you're interested in, it is amazing. I will take better photos of it once I wash it and thwack it and get it all measured and whatnot. But it is 8.1 ounces of lovely. So that is that one, which brings me to my next spin. This, I'm not even going to take it out of the plastic, even though it'll be a little bit annoying, but it's going to make a lot of noise. This I got on a D-stash a long time ago. This is from Busy Bee Fibers, and that's her card. She's on Etsy, or at least she was on Etsy. I got this several years ago, so I don't even know. And it is called Candy Store. It is merino, and it is like all these little fun pastel-y bright colors. And I am spinning this up with a purpose. I have a very dear friend of mine is expecting a baby in the fall, and she's expecting a little boy, and so I'm going to knit the little boy a sweater. But her little boy has an older sister, and she's going to be 2 in a few weeks. And so I am going to spin this and knit her a bunny. So this one I'm going to spin just 2-ply and try for a little bit thicker, and then like I said, I'm going to knit her a one of my stuffed rabbits, which is Mario the Artistic Rabbit. You'll see that. But so that is the plan for this week, and hopefully I'll have this done next week. If it takes me a little bit longer to spin, I'm not super worried, but I do want to get back in the habit of spinning and get a few things into the shop and then spin a few things that I know that I will be using. So that is it for today. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have had a wonderful week, and if you are in the US, I hope you are enjoying a wonderful weekend with friends and family. And I wish you a lovely week ahead, and until we see each other again, I will say happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!